Great. So I believe that we're recording. I'm just going to check that I've pinned my screen. I don't record any of yours. Great. Excuse me while I just sort the technical stuff out. All right. So just as we start today together, props. So minimal props today. Although I did say an optional prop could be your bed pillow. Although after thinking about it, it would be quite beneficial for one sequence that we'll do together. So if you don't have a bed pillow, then perhaps just grab one quickly, or you could pull a sofa cushion off, just the normal sort of sofa cushion, and then 2 or 3 blankets if you can. That could be a mixture of blankets and towels. I'll just let you gather if you haven't already. Great. So I just wanted to acknowledge today just how challenging times feel around the world, and I mean I think we've all felt it, and all have a lot of compassion and empathy going out to those people really suffering, and those countries that are in conflict right now. And just thought we'd focus our class around loving kindness today, and just how essential this is to keeping our positive energy upwards, and just how easy it can be to fall into that fear and that feeling of unsettled and grounding, and just how staying grounded and connecting to our heart is really the only way that we can be supportive to others. Great. So I'd like us to just reflect how it might be to have a complete shift in the way that we interact in our lives. And that being that rather than interacting from our head, from this upper part of our nervous system, actually really interacting from the heart. And I mean, gosh, I remember when this was first taught to me many moons ago, and just feeling quite disconnected to that concept. But over the years, just really, really appreciated how that shift has changed my actions and speech and listening as well. So how might it be, and this might feel a bit elusive to begin with, but just to plant that possibility, how could it be for me to interact in the world from my heart rather than my head? And we'll really sort of dive in here, very gently diving in to the area of the heart and feeling into that part of our being. And then practices just to loosen up the upper back and the chest. This is the area that we hold so much emotional charge and so much muscular tension from the neck, the shoulders, around the rib cage. So please take it easy as always. This is your practice. Only move within a realm of ease and comfort. So yeah, I just wanted to say along that topic of heartfelt kindness and love, how really this is what all the spiritual practices are teaching us. They all have their different ways in, but there is this common thread of just connecting into this love that is the base of the ground of our being, and how we can often forget that when we're busy or challenged, but how just coming back to that, keep coming back to that love and that base of our being as a refuge. So with that in mind, I invite you to come into a meditation posture. So I'm going to sit on the floor today, just for simplicity, and so I can be by the technology, but you might feel comfortable sitting in a chair. Hopefully my screen hasn't frozen. Doesn't look like it has. Maybe Leslie, you can just give me a little wave and see you. Great, I haven't frozen. Perfect. So coming into a comfortable seat on your chair or on your floor, make sure that you're comfortable and warm. Last week we had something underneath our elbows for support for the shoulders. So if that felt serving for you, then you might try that again with your pillow or a blanket. And let me just get our recording ready. And as you set yourself up into your meditation posture this morning, just check that if you're sitting in a chair, that your feet are on the floor, your heels are underneath your knees. And can you just feel in briefly into your pelvic bowl and your sit bones, the base of your pelvis, and just check that they're equally distributed and that you're not tucking your tail underneath you. We talked about this the last couple of weeks, so that your lumbar curve, your lower back curve, has its natural indent, natural arch. And let's just take an inhale and float the arms out to the side and just as high above the head as feels comfortable for you today. It might not be all the way, it might be all the way. And as you exhale, softening the arms back down by your side, dropping your weight into your pelvis, into your legs. And maybe just try that one more time, inhaling, floating the arms out and up. And exhaling, floating them back down and just resting the hands in the lap. Closing the eyes if that's comfortable for you, dropping the chin very slightly to lengthen the back of your neck. And settling here into your seated posture by feeling into your physical shape, feeling out into the edges of your shape so that you become physically present. Physically present. Inviting your attention inward, so away from those external stimulations. Relaxing the eyes in their sockets, softening the jaw. Softening the belly, feeling a sense of weight dropping downwards into the lower part of your torso and into your pelvis and your legs. Settling, arriving. And very gently inviting a very soft awareness to the upper chest, the area where the heart resides. And I encourage you to take this very gently. You may even like to place a hand or two around the area of the heart to help invoke sensation and feeling here. And whether this is a familiar place for you or an unfamiliar place, it really doesn't matter. This kind and soft awareness in the area of your heart. Very gently feel into this part of your being today. Noticing what you notice without judging or trying to change anything. And being patient here as there is this gradual emergence of awareness in the area of your heart. Perhaps you begin to sense some warmth. You might feel your heartbeat. Even if it's a very vague sense of where your heart resides. And perhaps it feels a little uncomfortable to take your attention here. And how might it be to just very kindly be here with that? Anytime it becomes too uncomfortable or overwhelming, bring your attention back to your whole physical shape. But otherwise, resting gently here. Perhaps a warm, maybe even fuzzy, tennis ball shaped sensation arising in the area of the upper chest. Sometimes this can be challenging just to feel, just to take the attention here. And in those times, it can be helpful to use our imagination. So how might it be to imagine yourself in the street somewhere, doing your day-to-day chores? And in the corner of your eye, you glance and spot a familiar figure. And that person you spot on the street is a dear beloved friend that you haven't seen for ages, or a sister or a brother. And that lighting up of your heart that happens when you have this connection with someone you love. Or you might imagine that loving quality that comes from snuggling with your pet. Or helping someone that is hurt or struggling. Be here. Rest here. And as you rest here, could you recognize the longing you have to feel this love and this happiness? Recognize your own wish for well-being and happiness as you connect into this love ground of your being. And it can be helpful to repeat words to yourself, such as, may I be peaceful and happy. May I be peaceful and happy. Or you might have your own words that bubble up. Perhaps just repeating them to yourself for more time. Softening, yielding into the space of your heart. And it can also feel serving to reflect on how others' wish is to feel this love and happiness. And so you might bring somebody in particular to mind that is struggling at the moment, could do with an extra bit of support. So you might repeat to them, may you be happy and peaceful. You might have your own words you'd like to repeat to them. And if nobody in particular comes to mind, you might just extend that loving regard to all beings. May all beings be peaceful and happy. And Just letting that go. You have your hands on your body. You might like to just relax the arms down into the lap, to relax the shoulders as you stay in tune with that area of your body. And just starting to expand your attention gently out to inhabit your whole body. And just reflecting on how you feel after that practice. Whether you might simultaneously feel your whole physical shape and at the same time stay gently connected to the heart, to the warmth of the heart or the sense of your heart. And as we bring this meditation to a close, you might like to just drop your chin gently down towards your chest and blink your eyes open. Feel where your body meets the ground. Having a sense of that grounding and that support beneath you. So I invite you to slowly make your way down to lie on your back. And if you have your bed pillow, bring that with you. You might like to put it behind your head if it's not too high. And if you are placing your bed pillow behind your head, you could have it right up to your shoulders, right up to the tips of your shoulders, or you might use a blanket instead. And if it's comfortable to bend your knees so your feet come to the floor, but otherwise just letting them lengthen away and relax into a shavasana. And make sure that you're comfortable. Prop yourself up in any way that feels necessary. And a little breathing practice to guide us through our practice, the rest of our practice today. And again, you could use hands-on body touch if you'd like, or you could leave that part out. You could place your left hand on your upper chest, the area of your heart. Placing the hand in the center of the chest or slightly to the left. And then your right hand on your lower belly, beneath your navel. If your elbows are raised above the floor, you might like to place a blanket underneath one or both. Make sure that you're comfortable, your shoulders are relaxed. And arriving here, meeting the ground, softening your lower back ribs down into the support of the ground. Again, softening the eyelids, closing the eyes feels comfortable. Just checking in briefly for any holding, any resistance to yielding to the ground. Taking perhaps a couple of sighs to arrive in this new shape. And starting to sense your hands touching your body. Inviting your natural breathing rhythm into your awareness. Trying to let go of any analyzing or control at this point. Noticing where you feel movement in your body as your body breathes. Feel into your lower hand and your belly. And starting to broaden your awareness to feel both hands. And inviting a gentle expansion into your right hand as you breathe in, sensing that movement of breath traveling up the length of your torso to the heart. And then from the heart, as you begin to exhale, feeling a sense of deflating as you breathe out, and the awareness sinks back down to the lower hand on the belly. So how might it be to explore the breath being passed from the belly up to the chest, and from the chest sinking back down to the belly? If you can, try not to think too much or analyze this too much. Being present with a very natural journey of the breath. Mimicking the flow of energy that occurs as we inhale. There's a moving upwards, an expansion. And then as we exhale, there's a release, there's a dropping downwards, sinking. The important thing about this inquiry is that you stay connected to what you do feel. If it's not feeling how I'm suggesting, then it doesn't matter. Stay connected to how it does feel for you. Taking a couple more rounds, following this pathway from belly to heart, heart to belly. And then releasing this breathing inquiry. Release the hands when you're ready. And return back to your natural organic breath. And I'll invite you to come and lie on your, I'm going to start lying on my left side. So perhaps we all start on the left side. And bring with you your pillow, your bed pillow, or even perhaps a blanket. And we need plenty of space around the head for this sequence, moving sequence. So you might like to just bring yourself down your mat, down your practice space. So this sequence, we lie on the left side and on the right side. So if lying on one of those sides doesn't work for you, then please adjust the movement. You might just lie on your back, some of this, and adapt the movement in your own way. So bending the knees, having your feet pretty much in line with your hips. And then extending your left arm out underneath you. Now, my head is slightly lower than how I would normally prop my head on side lying. And that's okay for this, but if you need to be a little bit higher, then place a blanket or something underneath. Right hand just rests effortlessly on top of the left. And give yourself the chance to arrive in this new body shape. Any adjustments you need to feel more comfortable. And do add any padding underneath the body where feels necessary. Make sure that you are honoring your comfort. And this lovely sequence, which I just come back to time and time again, is so beneficial for helping release tension in the shoulders and the upper chest that accumulates over time. So I'll show some options, but of course you can adapt and make this your own. You can start by sliding your right fingertips past your left fingertips along the floor to spread your shoulder blades on the back. And then retreating as you glide the right hand all the way along the left hand, all the way along the chest, and let your right elbow start to reach back behind you. I'm just letting my knees separate where they need to. Coming a little way back with that right elbow as far as feels comfortable before retreating and moving back along the chest, along the left arm and back to meet the hand. And just repeating, sliding and gliding, letting the weight of your body drop into the support of the earth. Let the weight transition as the arm starts to lead behind you. And if you are very familiar with this movement, then how might it be to slow the movement right down? Very aware of speeding through and missing those lovely finer points and details. At some point you might like to extend the arm all the way out to the side, all the way out to a spinal rotation, and then retreating back. Bent elbows, sliding, gliding the hand. And the whole body plays part. You can allow the hips to respond. You can open the knee, the right knee up towards the ceiling. And really nourishing this part of your body, the hand touch gliding the arm and the chest, taking that as part of the practice, this sense of touch, tenderness. And really the energy in the fingers makes quite a difference to the feeling of the movement. So you can explore that, explore very soft fingers, dragging them along. As you extend the arm out to the side, you could explore bringing a bit of energy to the fingers, a little extension, a little length through the whole right arm. If that feels too much, keep with the soft hand approach. And you can continue on with this movement if you'd like, or you could explore keeping the right arm straight that extends up to the ceiling. Letting the knees part at any time as the arm extends all the way out to the side, but not forcing anything. So let the body dictate where it's ready to move. The head could follow the hand if you'd like, so that the neck joins in with the spiral. And perhaps finding some joy in that quality of expansion and opening and length. The space is created in the chest. I'm just demonstrating this as a continual moving practice, but of course you can pause and be still at any time you'd like. The third range of movement option is to slide and glide the fingers over the head, making a dome shape over the head. And of course, if there is restriction in this shoulder or in the area of the chest, then you can adapt the movement. You could make it as small as you'd like. You could rotate shoulder and its ball and socket joint by bending the elbow. You could keep the fingers to the floor, but keep the elbow really bent. That feels more appropriate for your body today. Keeping this loving presence in your experience so that you can make choices. You can choose to adapt where feels necessary. And starting to bring this movement towards the close, you might take 1 or 2 more rotations, or maybe you're staying with a different movement. And once you've completed your movement, you might just pause briefly on your left side. Be still for a breath or two. Seeing that movement and the benefits of that movement just be absorbed into your whole being. Then you feel ready to starting to transition onto your second side. You might just roll over to the other side, setting yourself up with the same amount of care and attention you did on your first side. And it might be that you're not rolling onto your right side. If lying on the right side isn't appropriate for you today, then you can get very creative lying on your back or even sitting. So as you lie on your right side or on your back, bending your right arm forward. You're lying on your side, resting your left hand on top. And starting in your own time, slide the left fingertips forward, spreading in the shoulder blade. And then the sliding and gliding along the right arm, along the chest, and let your left elbow start to draw behind you, start to rotate the spine, and then retreating back, sliding, gliding, nice tender touch with the hand on your body. Connecting into this loving kindness takes an act of slowing down, so perhaps you might explore that, a slowing down of the movement so you can really connect into how this feels in your experience. Really connect into the felt sense of touch on your body. While lying on your back, could be, I'm going to show it on the opposite side, but it could be that the hand slides and glides along just the chest and the arm, just enough to get a little spiral through the spine. And back again. At some point you might like to explore that straight armed variation. So the left hand floats up towards the ceiling in line with the shoulder. Maybe the head follows the hand as it opens out behind you. Just allow the body to softly respond, to allow the knees to separate at any time that feels natural to. There's a rocking of the pelvis. That the chin stays fairly parallel, so the chin isn't lifting up over arching the neck. The head is following the hand. Keep the chin slightly dipped so that the neck stays neutral. And if you are exploring a different range of movement, how does it feel in the area of the chest, back of the heart, the area of the shoulder blade? Sinking fully into the feeling of this movement in your body today. And at some point you might like to explore the rotation through the ball and socket joint. And one option was to drag the fingers along the floor and up over the head, making a dome, and out to the side, and then back round again. You can get really creative here. If that movement doesn't feel suitable, then a nice, really gentle approach could be just to bend the hand to the shoulder and circle the elbow. And that circle could be so small, really, really small to begin with. No judgment. So continual intention of staying loving and kind towards yourself, towards your body. And perhaps just bringing your sequence to a close. Starting to slow the movement and retreat back to your right side lie or wherever you are right now. And I invite you just to spend a couple of breaths in stillness, in rest. Resting, being. And slowly making your way onto your back again. And keeping the knees bent like we did before. But this time taking the feet a little wider, about the width of your mat if you're on your mat, and a little further away from the pelvis perhaps. And you might have the arms lengthened out to the side, or if that feels too strong on the shoulders, then lower the arms a little. So in the past, I've often shown the legs before the arms. We're going to synchronize the arms and the legs. I'm going to show the arms first today. So the arms are on the floor, out to the side. Palms start facing up. So as you take the legs over to the right side, the left palm will turn down to the floor and the right palm will turn up towards the ceiling. As the legs come back up to neutral, the arms start to turn. And as the legs come over to the left, the right palm drops down to the floor, the left palm opens up to the ceiling. So explore that for yourself. You might like to take the head away from the direction of the legs. You might like to take the head in the same direction of the legs. So the palm is opening in the same direction as the leg. And the head, it's up to you which way feels most serving. What might it be as you explore the shifting of weight to hone in on the area of the chest as it shifts and moves? You might be particularly interested in the area of the back of the heart, around your shoulder blades, as you soften into that place, softening into the place in the midline of the body. And perhaps just finishing the round that you're on. And coming back to neutral, you might bring the feet slightly closer together. Maybe the feet come in towards the pelvis slightly more. The arms just resting down by your side. Constructive rest, just being here for a moment. And if you feel drawn to linking your movement with your breath, on your next inhale, explore floating your arms over your head towards the floor behind you. You're lying on your back here. And then as you exhale, floating the arms back down. And just continuing in your own time, getting a real sort of quality of floating, as if the arms are being carried by a lovely support. Can you focus your attention gently in the area of the chest and just be present with the expanding and the shifting of shape as the spine adjusts to the movement of the arm. Getting a sense of the opening, the expansion, the space being created. And perhaps just taking one more. Before resting the arm heavily down by your side. And resting for a breath or two here. So I'm going to invite you all into a posture that we had on the agenda for last week but didn't get round to, and I thought it would fit perfectly with this week's sequence, which is a rolling brook posture. So we place some support underneath the upper spine, and doing so to create some external, some extension through the upper back, opening the front of the chest, the area around the heart, the arms. So to do so, I'm going to demonstrate with my pillow where it is. So you might use a cushion or a pillow or a blanket here. I'm actually going to roll my thinnest blanket, or if you've got a towel, this would be perfect here, and roll it. I'm not actually going to roll mine all the way because it's looking like it's getting a bit too thick. This is going to be my cervical spine, my neck, part of the spine support, and that's just going to sit on top of my pillow. Now you might find as you come into this posture that there's too much height here or too little height, so I really have to leave it to you to adjust that as to how it feels. We've got that roll there, move that in a second. Then we're going to create our spinal support. So taking another blanket and folding it, I'm going to fold mine into thirds. And I'm actually going to fold it in a sort of accordion style fold. So one direction for one fold and then the other direction for the second fold. So I'm making a rectangular shaped support for the spine. Now, again, if this feels too high or too subtle, then you can adjust your fold. That's just going to be placed around where the back of the heart sits, where a bra strap might be. And then as you get yourself into this posture, actually, I saw a lovely teacher, Helen Moss, who is in the UK. She demonstrated this, not this posture actually, something else, but you might like to try this way in. So as you line yourself up, your armpit is in line with the upper part of your spinal support. A little bit like what we were just doing. You've got your armpit in line with the upper part of your support, and then you roll onto your back. So you've got that lovely support of your blanket. Can you see it's in the upper part of my spine? It's not past my lower ribs. My tips of my shoulders are just sort of starting to cascade down onto the floor. You may just need to have a little shuffle around as you get into this. And then what I'm going to do is take this roll of my blanket that I prepared earlier to tuck right into the, oh, lovely, into the nook of my neck. So bring your pillow right down into the tips of your shoulders. Can you see there's definitely a gap between my pillow and my neck support and my spinal support, my thoracic spinal support. So there's a gap here where my tips of my shoulders are dropping down to the floor. And you might like to take your arms into that gap side. That might feel a bit too strong for you today, in which case just lower the arms down by your side. And what I'm noticing for me personally is that I just feel like I need to lengthen my lower back. I'm just going to lift my pelvis off the floor as if I'm just dropping my tail towards my heels to lengthen the lower back. Now you could extend the legs away if you'd like, but if at any point that feels like there's too much compression or doesn't feel comfortable for your lower back, then you can bend your knees again. You might even open your feet and drop your knees in to the center line of the body. And it might take a couple of breaths just to adjust to that support in the upper spine. And this is also a chance for you just to sense in to feel whether this is feeling all right in your body. If the roll feels too high, if there's too much of an opening of the chest or upper back, then please do swap it out for a thinner blanket, or you could re-roll or refold your blanket so it's longer but thinner. Settling into this lovely supported upper back bend. And this can be a really lovely posture to sense into the heart of your being. Of course, not physically opening the heart. The heart nestles safely between your left and your right lung. But energetically, there can be a sense of that sense of space and opening and receiving kind of the opposite posture we can often find ourselves in. We move around with sometimes slightly collapsed shoulders. Spending the next couple of minutes yielding the back body into that support, sense of the parts of the body that aren't in contact with the floor, the parts of the spine, that they are moving in that direction, yielding towards the ground. So this lovely simultaneous sense of grounding through the back body, through the back of the pelvis, through the feet, maybe the legs. The legs are extended. And the part of the spine in contact with your fold. And then contact through your neck and the back of your head. And at the same time, this lovely opening through the front body, receiving. And I'd love to share with you a poem today by my favorite poet, David White. And actually, one of the best things about David is not only his poetry and his words, but his voice, a beautiful voice. So I'm actually going to try and play you him reading his own poem, because then you can have a break from me, but also you can enjoy his lovely sound. So of course, if at any time you feel that you need to move, then please do. You might just shift that support from underneath your thoracic spine and come and lie on your back. Otherwise, just resting for a couple of minutes, enjoying David read his poem, The True Love.
The true love. There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours. Especially if you have waited years, and especially if you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I'm thinking of faith now, and the testaments of loneliness, and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the grey stones to the shore of baying seals. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the grey stones to the shore of baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm, and everyone waking, and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water, calling to them. And how we're all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling, and that moment we have to say, yes. Except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. So that when we finally step out of the boat toward them, we find everything holds us. And everything confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could. If you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. You don't, because finally, after all this struggle and all these years, you don't want to anymore. You simply don't want to anymore. You don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live, and you want to love. And you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours.
Perhaps just residing where you are, just allowing whatever comes up for you, having listened to David's poem. And before you begin to move out of this shape, you may like to briefly review how The feeling of this posture has changed from when you first arrived to now. There been an unraveling in any way, a softening? What do you notice here as you tune in? And of course, as you sense into what you notice, not looking for anything in particular, being present with what you do feel. And when you do feel ready to start the transition out and into a final resting place, then moving slowly and mindfully, you might like to transition onto your side briefly. And something that you might like to set up, and if you just feel like it's too much effort, then please do just come and lie into a simple shavasana shape. You might like to make a homemade bolster like we did last week, picking your pillow and rolling it up into a blanket like so. You might even have a cushion or a sofa cushion that is this kind of shape, and you can place that to support underneath your knees if you like. It helps soften the lower back. Mine's a bit of an odd shape, but I think it's going to work. And then hopefully you've got another blanket or two. Last week I demonstrated the lovely neck nook. The neck nook folds blanket not quite in half. You've got a slightly longer edge that the shoulders move up into. And then the neck nook just rolls, the top layer of your blanket rolls into the neck arch, and then you can just fold the corners underneath itself. Oh, my favorite. Feeling your head and that lovely hug. You might just like to lengthen your lower back. Do add any extra padding you would like. And I don't know about your space, you might want a blanket over the top of you, or you might just like a little bit of feedback around the belly and the hips. I quite like sometimes just tucking myself in, feeling that sense of being held. Oh, that's really nice. And what's amazing about our bodies is that they know if something doesn't feel quite right. You know if you need a bit more height under the knees, the neck. And it's up to you where you place your hands. You might like hand on the chest, a hand on the belly again. It might feel soothing to have both hands on the belly. Or you might feel more comfortable just resting the arms down at your side. Taking the time to really kindly set yourself up today and talk about this Goldilocks approach so that you are, being fussy, having a good bath, set yourself up. Good. So hopefully you're there, you're getting into that place of comfort and adding anything you need to make it more comfortable, more supportive. So once all the faffing is done, arriving in this lovely supported nest that you've created for yourself in a loving and kind way. And know as you settle into this rest that this in itself is an act of love. Not only for yourself to take this rest and time in quiet, but for everybody around you. So as you acknowledge that gift for yourself and others around you, just know that there is nothing that needs doing here or attending to. That all the doing has stopped. And as you listen to these words of guidance, that it's completely down to you whether you follow or not. You may like to explore how it might be to listen to the guidance from your heart, as if your heart had ears. As I speak, as if my heart had a mouth, could you listen as though your heart had ears? As you tune into that loving space again, very gently. And if it was an unfamiliar place to reside initially, how does it feel now? Can you sense the warmth, the tenderness in this part of your being? And really don't worry if the qualities don't emerge instantly. Just having the faith that that love is the ground of your being. It's always there supporting your life. And just the knowing of that can be a refuge, can be an invitation of coming home. If connecting to this part of your being feels challenging right now, then you might use your imagination again. You might bring to mind a loved one, your amazing pet has unconditional love for you. Or it might be that connecting to a place in nature really invoke a feeling of peace and love and connection. Inviting the breathing body into your awareness. It's this natural ebb and flow of your breath, rocking your body. An ever so gentle massage to the heart, as the lungs expand and condense. Feeling into that gentle rocking. First, feel it in your whole body here in this breath. As if your breath could expand out to the very pores of your skin. Whole body breathing. And then how about gently honing your attention in to this gentle massage occurring as the lungs effortlessly expand and condense. Subtle bobbing and movement of the heart with the breath. Feeling your whole body and being welcomed here, welcomed in this moment. And there's an invitation to take a journey around your body now, soaking a kind and tender presence through different parts of your body, starting by soaking kind presence into your head that rests on this support. You feel the weight of your head. Can you invite a tender caress to the head and the contents of the head, softening and yielding into that tenderness. Gently gliding down to the neck and the throat. Be even taking some kind exhales as you rest your attention on your throat. Letting go of any tension or holding. And with a very caring and tender attitude, sinking down into the chest now. As your presence nourishes the contents of your ribcage, your lungs, your heart, all the nerves, all the connective tissue, all the contents of your ribcage, receiving that nourishment from your kind presence. And sinking down a little lower now as you feel into your solar plexus. With any resistance, exhaling, sighing, releasing the area of your solar plexus. Breathing down into your diaphragm. And soft, kind attention into the wide brimmed area of your abdomen. From your diaphragm to your pubic bone. Soaking caring presence into the abdominal bowl. And soaking down now into your legs, your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, and your feet and your toes. Feeling whole and held by this caring, tender presence. From your toes, sensing back up into the areas of your shoulders. Your shoulder blades rest on the ground. As you welcome your arms just as they rest here in this moment, gliding down the length of your arms through your elbows, lower arms, and kind presence coming into the hands and the fingers. Feel your hands and fingers resting quietly. Quietly resting in tender presence. Soaking your entire being, this loving presence. Entire being resting quietly, nourished, welcomed, and held. Abide here in your own loving presence, and your whole being relieved to rest, to be. You sense any kind of resistance, any kind of tension in the mind, in the body. How might it be to soften and to yield a little more, minute more fully into that loving presence, surrendering into it. The body's natural breath, nourishing, rocking, and soothing your entire body. Each breath an act of love. Feel again the contact your body has with the loving arms of the ground beneath you. Feel the weight of your body as it receives that support. And maybe take a couple of conscious breaths, maybe deeper breaths if that feels nourishing. As we come towards the end of our practice together, there's, of course, always the invitation to stay as long as you would like. If you're feeling ready to start to move back into the rest of your day, then perhaps just squeezing fingers into the palms, stretching the fingers, bringing gentle movements back into your body again, maybe taking a bit of a stretch. Namaste. Moving slowly back out of your practice, you may like to just take a moment to ground, just to sit, to transition. The ground is to get a reciprocal dance of giving your weight and receiving the support of the ground, whether you're seated in a chair or seated on the ground. And may this practice serve and support you for the rest of your day and hopefully the rest of your week.